The reality of modern day dating for men is most men don't actually deserve women. Most men cannot handle a woman. And if most men are handling a woman, more oftentimes than not, they're dealing with a lot of bullshit, a lot of, really a lot of bullshit. And, you could scroll on these social media platforms like Threads and all types of shit, and you could see how bugged out a lot of these women are. But I'm not here to shit on women. This is not a hating on women channel. I fucking love women. And I'll tell you what, a lot of men like to shit on women because they're coping with their decisions that they're making about the woman that they chose or the woman that they choose, instead of realizing that they are the fucking problem. You see, a lot of men internally, and this is not something that they will say out loud, is they don't feel like they deserve a woman. They don't feel like they're worthy of a woman. They don't feel like they're worthy to be loved. And this is very subtle. You'll see this in men that feel like they need to have money, status, a physique, whatever it is that they need before they start going after the woman they want. Why would you feel like that unless you're compensating? And you know what you're compensating for, right? You're compensating for the lack of definition, lack of self-validation that you have as a man. You're looking and you're outsourcing your validation to a woman because you have not looked within and actually realized your own gifts as a man. You haven't taken the time and done the work, the spiritual work really, to look within and realize the gift that the Most High gave you. So you find yourself outsourcing your need for recognition, need for validation, need for love to the woman. And that shit is very tragic because it's a trap that many men will fall into and will abandon themselves, and they'll blame the woman for it. They'll say, well, the woman, she didn't allow me to do this. Once I got with her, I got fat. Once I got with her, I stopped hanging out with my friends. You guys know that shit is not normal, right? You guys know that you allow it, correct? That you're not literally buying to any woman or buying to anybody, in fact, in this life, especially if you're giving them power over you. The scripture talks about how don't give anybody power over you in your life. You could find this in about Sirach, the 37th chapter, around the 15th verse, if I'm correct. Yeah, between 37:10, 37:15, if I'm correct. But it's somewhere in the book of Ecclesiasticus in Sirach. That's the Apocrypha for you guys that don't read a 1611 King James Bible. You'll see that even the scriptures themselves will tell you, do not give power to anybody over your life. And a lot of men don't realize that when they're saying they need X, Y, and Z before they start dating, or before, they're saying they're not worthy of love. And you know what happens to these men? They find themselves working on themselves all throughout their 20s, having no dating experience, okay? Once they get into their 30s, and then what happens is they lead with their money, they lead with their physique, or they lead with whatever it is that they built. And when they end up finding out that the woman loves him for those things, they'll say, oh, well, see, look at what the woman did. Look, see, they're all the same. And next thing you know, you a fucking red pill dude. You on fucking on Threads crashing out because of a woman when it's really your fault. But this is so subtle because this is a way that we've been programmed in this carnal existence, this dream state of life. You see, we've been indoctrinated by the powers that be that we have to have certain things in this physical reality to be credible enough, to be worthy enough, to be qualified enough to be a man. You see my point? The only thing really you need to be a man is to be able to provide for yourself. Then you start worrying about providing for others. Most men cannot provide for themselves. And I'm not only talking about financially, I'm talking about spiritually, mentally, physically. Can you even take care of your own body? Can you even keep yourself away from these foods that are breaking you down? Can you keep yourself away from music that is destroying your soul? Can you keep yourself away from environments that are draining your energy? These are all the things that you have to consider before you even consider dating in this reality, because this is what it's going to take to overcome and find a woman who's even your match. You have to get all of these things down first internally, and then worry about the financials, and then worry about the physique. But even then, a physique is just a look. I've seen fat dudes get girls. I'm talking about girls that dudes would say are 90 overalls on fucking IG. So it's really not about what you lack. It's about what you have inside that sets you apart from other men. You may be humorous, you may be creative, you may be artistic, you may be you may be fucking intense. And some women love that shit. You may be super disciplined. Go find you a woman who's like you. And that's the beauty of life as a man, that we get to choose. I couldn't imagine being a woman waiting and praying that a dude comes up to me. And then even worse, getting a dude that they don't fucking like come up to you. Shit, I'm sure that sucks. I'm sure I've been that dude a couple times too, fucking out there approaching. But, I observed this in myself with my relationship with my ex, because it was subtle. I would put off, like, she would ask me, and I'll admit it, she would ask me for more time, and, why did I change, and why can't I just, you know, uh, be myself? And I would say, like, no, I got to provide. I got to build this business that I'm working on. I got to do X, Y, Z. You just don't understand. And what I didn't understand is, she was saying, like, I'm not saying don't do that, but what I'm saying is, put some time aside, take the pressure off of yourself, and actually be fully present with me. And if you're ambitious, you do not want to go through this, because these are words that eat up at me to this day, because it let me know that I was so attached to what I was building, and I needed this to validate the man that I say that I am, or that I knew myself to always be. It crushes me. It crushes me because there was someone there who loved me for who I was, not for what I didn't have, because she came in at a time when I didn't have shit. I was coming out of fucking high school. I didn't have a fucking car. I didn't have a job. I didn't have nothing. Then I built myself up. I built a business. I fucking got my own car. I started paying my own shit at my parents' house or whatever. But it was reality. I was able to, show myself formidable and capable. But things took a left once I started overly focusing on the things that I was building, instead of focusing, and really balancing and having a lifestyle, a great lifestyle balance. What do they call it? Work-life balance. Now that I'm single and I've reflected and meditated on this a lot, I could see why that energy will drive anybody away, not just your woman, because you never take the time to actually pour into the people that are willing to pour into you. A lot of men that are ambitious put life on pause, put love on pause, put dating on pause, because they don't feel enough. That's what it is. They have not recognized who they are. They have not recognized what they can bring to the table. If you cannot answer me this question of, without anything in the material world, what can you bring to the table? What makes you different from every other man? You're fucking cooked. You're cooked. You are literally one bad woman away from being ensnared for the rest of your life. And leaving her will feel like a fucking trap. It'll feel impossible. You'll be waiting for permission to leave, for her to cheat, and then you'll become a red pill dude. And I went through that shit for maybe a quick minute. And that's not a place you want to be at, where you're fucking blaming the woman for your fault. When you blame someone else besides yourself, you're giving away all your power away. And that lets that person know, oh, okay, I still have a leash over this dude. I have a trigger over him. This thing has a trigger over me. It's really all about us. And it starts within. How can you've led better? How can you made better decisions? What if you don't know who you are? It's simple. What are you doing each and every day to build yourself up as a man that does not include just only working on your finances? Do you keep your word when you tell yourself you're going to go work on your physique? Do you keep your word when you tell yourself, I'm not going to eat this food that is going to bring me down? Do you keep your word when you say you're going to read this book? Do you keep your word, etc., etc.? Because that will build your self-trust. That will build your self-belief. You begin to believe in yourself, and your convictions will naturally start to come out, and you'll distinguish yourself from other men because you're no longer looking for other men and looking for external things to validate you, looking for women. And this is the modern, modern man's problem. He's waiting for permission to be himself. He feels like he's not tall enough. He feels like he's too short. He feels like he's too tall. He feels like he's too fat. He feels like he's too skinny. You could still be real skinny, still get girls. You could be real fat, still get girls. That's life. For me, things really, the Most High really blessed me when he sent me out there to start cold approaching. And the reason I say he sent me out there was because it really felt like, it was, my spirit was stirred to it. And the reason I say that is because you'll begin to understand that a lot of these women that you see online, they're playing fucking cartoon characters, just like a lot of these men are. You cannot blame the woman when this is a man's world. So who is the woman reflecting? They're reflecting the men in this society. That is the reality. So if you find yourself finding women that you don't fuck with, it's your fucking fault. It's your fault. The woman is going to show you who you are, and it's going to reflect parts of you that you may not like. You see, for me, for a while, I would find women that, let's be honest, they were like me, but there was parts that I didn't like about them, and I would say, am I subconsciously like that? Maybe the woman was too negative. Maybe she was too afraid, socially conscious. And I would find that, holy shit, yeah, I am like that. And it would make me reflect and say, what the fuck? What am I telling myself? What story is still, running in the back of my head that is attracting these women to me? It all starts within, but you have to be able to read your own patterns before you even get to the fucking woman. Because you're going to have to rewire her mind too to be the way that, you want her to be, to follow you. But most men cannot do that. And they get hit with the okey doke. Next you know, you a baby daddy out of a list of 3. You're raising a fucking Aiden, a Mexican community shit. That shit sucks. And you really do your people a disservice when you allow that to happen. You're now, you're dealing with fucking baby mama drama when it's your fault. Like, it's your fault. There's no way around it. You brought your own drama into your life. Now you got to fucking pay the cost. And this world is not easy to find a woman who's good, but anything good is rare. And if you think yourself as a high value man, you think of yourself as good, you're fucking rare. So why would it not be harder for you to find a good woman? It's gonna take time, but you trust the process, you trust the Most High, you trust yourself that you could choose the right woman, then you'll be all right. But it all starts with you, how you conduct yourself, how you lead yourself, how you provide for yourself. Most men, they cannot handle that reality. They'd rather stay bitter. They'd rather be on threads talking shit, blaming the woman. You have a choice. That could be you, or you can choose to have faith that you could find someone who's just as good as you, your woman counterpart. You are the lead, you are the guide. The responsibility falls on your shoulders.